Rescue. Would you take my call when I stop to cry? Would you rescue me? Would you rescue me? Would you rescue me when I'm by myself? When I need your love, if I need your help, would you rescue me? Would you rescue me?
Hello everybody, my name's Douglas Arnold Armstrong. I'm the official head honcho here at Happy Texas Reviews. Thank you guys for watching this extremely unplanned review. I just finished watching the movie Black Hawk Down with my parents, and they're out shopping, doing some Memorial Day shopping right now for tomorrow. So I have a chance to just get this review out for you guys. So as always, make sure you guys like, subscribe, join this group member if you haven't already. And I gotta say, I was blown away by this film. I gotta say for sure, it's been at least 6 to 7 years since I've seen this movie, and I honestly forgot that this movie existed. I was at Best Buy. Movies on DVD and Blu-ray for $5, and I was just perusing through them. I had a little extra time to kill, and I was just going through it, and I found Black Hawk Down, and I'm like, oh, it's got Ian McGregor in it, which plays Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Star Wars prequel films. It's got William Fetchner, I believe is how you say his name. Kim Coates from the Resident Evil films. Ian Gufford. Tom Hardy's in this. Who else is in this film? Tom Hardy. Eric Bana is in this film. We got Sam Shepard. Ian Berman. He's been in a lot of other really great movies. I think he was in a Mission Impossible film. Jason Isaacs is in this film. Who else is in this? Ian Guffordy, I believe his name is. He was the actor that played Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four film, and then the sequel of Rise of the Silver Surfer. Who else is in this movie? A couple actors from Transformers are in this, like the General Dude. There's an actor from Revolution in here. Matthew Martison from the movie Anacondas is in here. Who else is in this film? There's just so many amazing actors in this movie. I was just blown away that they were able to get all these actors that were either famous or now famous. And it's kind of cool to see all these actors that are super famous now, or they're just kind of still under the radar and they just do smaller projects. But to see them all in this movie was kind of like a movie fan's dream come true to see all these actors come together. This movie is rated R and it's about 2 hours and 32 minutes long. But honestly, the fact that this movie was 2 hours and 32 minutes long did not faze me. I mean, there's movies that you watch and they're 2 hours and 32 minutes long or 3 hours long, like Avengers Endgame, and there's certain things like either at the beginning, middle, or end, and you're just like, this is starting to drag on and on and on, and like, can we get to the ending part of the film by now? This movie, even though it was 2 hours and 32 minutes long, I didn't want it to end. I was like, I was engaged. My dad was engaged. My mom normally she'll sit like this and watch a movie. Just, straight up. She was like this. She was leaning into the TV because she was so sucked into it. And it's really hard for me to get a movie to watch with her where that can actually happen. This movie is a little bit dramatized, but in general, this is very realistic. And it doesn't hold back on showing you the blood, the guts, the violence, and the gore of what, war looks like. This is a 2001 film. So basically the premise, I'm just going to read this basically just off of Google because honestly I don't know how else to describe it. This summary does it the best. So this film basically takes place in 1993 when the United States sends in special forces. So they got the Rangers, some sort of convoy unit, and then they've got Delta Force all going into Somalia, and they're basically in there to try to shut down the general of Somalia that was controlling the ports and preventing the citizens in Somalia from being able to have food. And so I believe, because this movie is based on an actual event and an actual raid, I think 300,000 is there either 300,000 or 30,000 people in Somalia just died of starvation. And so because of that, the UN goes in, more like America, to try to stop what's going on there. And so they're in this film. It's about a raid, and they're trying to get some sort of political advisor to the general and someone else that the general knows. And so they're trying to work their way up the chain to find out where the general is so they can kill him and put an end to the civil war. During the raid, one of the Blackhawks and two Blackhawks actually go down, and the soldiers are trying to not only get the prisoners that they've captured, but make sure they don't leave anyone alive behind enemy lines, and it becomes a real crazy shootout fest, basically. This has got to be one of the very, 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 very best. I cannot understate that this is one of the very best military shooter films ever made. From the very beginning, you are launched into this movie. You are in the moment. You are in this world. You feel like you are back in 1993. And I cannot understate what an amazing job they were able to do with this in 2001. And the fact that this movie was made, 8 years after the events also helps with the fact because they were able to use a real world raid and events so closely after it happened and allowed for better realism. I can't say the word for some reason. I'm sorry. And in this movie, a total of 19 soldiers ended up dying during this raid. And when these soldiers were getting killed off, or they were captured and interrogated and then killed, you feel emotion. Some of them die because there's an artery that they just can't patch because they don't have the proper tools. They can't call in a medevac because they don't want a third Black Hawk going down. So they can't call in a medevac to get some of these guys to a hospital, and they end up bleeding out and they die in the war zone. And it was, there was a couple times I cried, to be honest, guys. what the sacrifice it takes for us as American citizens and our allies to have freedom in the ability to, watch Netflix, have a Google account, play Xbox. The oldest statement in American history is that freedom is not free. It takes blood in order for it to be secured. I would encourage you guys 100% to watch this and rewatch this. It's an amazing movie. I decided to end up watching it with my dad, because tomorrow is Memorial Day, and what a movie and what a great film to watch on Memorial Day during the 4th of July and whatnot. It's one of those movies that you need to see, and it allows you to understand the grasp and the scope of what it takes and what our military force does for us as American citizens and our allies. There are a couple things in this movie that I personally didn't like. First of all, the first couple 15 or 20 minutes or so of this film is a bunch of political nonsense. Personally, I don't agree with it. The biggest question was like, should we be here or not? Interfering with nonsense. And I'm like, yes, you should be there because, this general that's in charge, basically the entire military force in Somalia, is allowing for genocide to happen. And the UN, United Nations, does not stand for that. And that's basically one of the biggest reasons why the UN was created, was because of what Adolf Hitler did during World War II. Also, Washington doesn't give the proper military support to the military that they send over into Somalia in order to try to win the war. Washington, and this is real, and this really did happen, the president and everyone in Washington did not want to give the military forces that they sent to Somalia, AC-130s, proper gunships, enough ammunition and whatnot in order to get the job done. And Washington was, and you see this in the movie, Washington was like harping, like, this should only be taking like 4 weeks or whatnot, and then it's taking like 8 to 10 or something. And I'm like, well, no, duh, it's not getting done in your timeline. You're not giving the military forces that you sent over there to do the dirty work the proper tools and equipment to get the job done. Duh, morons, while you sit in your high chairs. And another question is like, should we have been in the middle of that civil war? Well, I'm answering the same question, but I'm like, yes, you should have been there because they were committing genocide, and you don't want that spreading, and you want to help the poor and the weak that aren't able to defend themselves. And I can understand the fact that, it was a quote-unquote civil war, but honestly, was it a civil war? This is a question I'm going to leave for you guys. Was it a big civil war? Because if genocide is going on, that means one side clearly is winning over the other side, and it's just a mass slaughter. There's no, balance between the good and the light. It's just darkness wiping out the light side completely because the light side doesn't have the ability to defend themselves. And so, in my personal opinion, yes, we should have been there because we were protecting those that couldn't protect themselves. Also, I don't understand why. And this could be for drama's sake, or this probably could have been what really happened, but there was a lot of lack of communication during the raid in this movie, and I don't know if this was real, but there was a lack of communication between the general that ordered the raid, the support teams and their satellites and all that stuff, and the soldiers on the field. There was so much discommunication going on between everybody that some men ended up having to run because they thought they were supposed to get picked up by a convoy, and they didn't, so they're running to a different location so they don't get left behind in the city and killed. There's people that are constantly having the convoy has to double back a time or two. I'm like, do you guys not know how to run a raid? I'm like, you're the American military. How do you guys not have this shit packed down by now? My gosh. It was one of the stupidest things ever. I'm like, communication should be key. Key lesson 101 to win a war. And it's no wonder we didn't have the ability to finish the fight and we had to pull out. It's things like this that proved it to the president. Last two things. There is a lot of language in this movie. Like I said, this movie's rated R. So it's going to show you blood and gore and guts, and because of that, they're going to be able to put in some language. So just keep that in mind. Thankfully, there's no nudity in this movie, just language and violence. Also, basically, the only smart person in this movie, the only two smart people in this entire movie was the general that ordered the raid. I'm like, he's giving people the option to either go in again and help or to stay. He's like, you're out of there. The situation ain't getting any better. I'm like, if you go back in there, I can't guarantee that you're going to be coming, that even though your support for the people that are in there, I can't guarantee that I'm going to have support to be able to give you if you get in a situation. And so the general was really smart in that, and he was doing the best he could with what he had. Also, the head of the Delta Force force that was over there in Somalia, he seemed to be the only person, really soldier-wise, that knew what he was doing. I mean, even though he was like, quote unquote, disrespecting the other units, like the Ranger heads and all that stuff, he's like, I'm here to get shit done. I'm going to do my job. If you want to sit here and get shot at for the next 15 minutes, be my guest. I'm going to go kill these, bad guys, win this operation, and get home alive. Thank you very much. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. Honestly, guys, Black Hawk Down, it's an amazing movie. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, I highly encourage you to do so. Have a tissue box with you, though. You will appreciate it. And don't pop popcorn, because honestly, you probably won't finish eating it at all. You might finish it in 10 to 15 minutes when the political BS is going on, but other than that, you're going to get sucked in, and you're going to wonder who lives and who dies. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys Tuesday night for the Smurfs review. Have a good one, guys. Have a great Memorial Day tomorrow, and peace out.